everyone, welcome back to an episode of Friends from Work. I'm Tom, this is Sean, and on today's episode we are going to be discussing House of the Dragon. I found that out. It's not House of Dragon, House of the Dragon. We're going to discuss that, what we like, what we didn't like, basic overall analysis, and predictions for the next season, how long it's going to run, all that good stuff. But before we do start this episode, do me a favor. Subscribe right now and leave a like. I said that backwards, but do it anyways in that order.
Spoilers.
Spoilers are ahead. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, friendsfromwork_podcast. The links are all down below, of course. And other than that, I'll kind of mention what you liked. What did you like about it, Sean?
I liked a lot about it. Had the real, the middle part of Game of Thrones vibe.
As in, what season of Game of Thrones? Idea?
They're all the early ones. It just was a lot of, I won't say action-packed, a lot of drama-packed. A lot of stuff was going on, a lot of shuffling, a lot of deception. House of the Dragon is based on one of the volumes of the Fire and Blood.
Fire and Ice.
No, it's Fire and Blood.
It's Fire and Blood?
Yeah, this book is.
Oh, okay.
The Game of Thrones is the Song of Fire and Ice.
Oh, okay.
But this is based on the book series from the Fire of Blood. It's one of the volumes. They started kind of in the middle. The first volume's when they take over Westeros. But this part, I believe, is called The Dance of the Dragon, something like that. I think that volume is called The Dance of the Dragon. I think one of the books is from Game of Thrones is Dance of the Dragon as well. So I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure we're this part with Dance of the Dragon. George R. R. Martin, he wanted them to start from earlier. But
for the original series?
To start from the beginning of the Fire and Blood book.
Okay.
So like I said, they're kind of in the middle, towards the end. So this is a story about basically how all the dragons went extinct. And again, I liked it a lot. I haven't actually read the books yet. I'm on the wait list to get them. I've listened to the audiobook though a couple times.
Nerd.
And I really liked it. I thought they did it pretty close. All the characters are really good. I like Matt Smith a lot. Man, I didn't really like the time jump, but I guess I see why they did it.
Yeah, it worked out full circle. But during the series, it didn't make much sense because I really liked the kids interaction. They still have that kid interaction later in the season, but I really like the young princess is. And
I know that he wanted to start from earlier. I don't. There'd been a lot of time jumps,
and
this would have been they started from earlier. It would have been 10 seasons.
I was just about to ask that. That was my question for you is, since you've read all that stuff, and he said that's how he wanted to start Game of Thrones originally, is how House of Dragon.
No, not Game of Thrones, about House of Dragon. Sorry.
Oh, he wanted.
I don't know. Maybe he did initially.
Oh.
But no, he wanted. George R. R. Martin is very heavily a part of this as well.
Yeah, obviously.
And he wanted to start from the beginning of this book. They started it basically where it really got interesting. And I don't even know because I've read the first half, and it's really interesting as well. So I wouldn't even say that. I don't know if they thought it would be easier.
Maybe they couldn't think of a good way to make it printed screen.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. It would have been. It was basically the story of Aegon, and he came over from Valyria with 3 dragons and his 2 sister wives, and basically burned everything down and won the war and took over, and that's how Targaryens took over Westeros. But it was still the same thing where they couldn't always use their dragons. They had to do politics and things like that. People are dying. They're having kids. There's marriages. So it's the same thing as this, but with more bloodshed, I guess. So it's weird. I don't know why they didn't start it there. But this followed King Viserys, the peaceful, they called him.
Yeah.
He didn't go to war at all, I believe, his whole entire time, I guess, except for when Daemon was in the Stepstones.
That wasn't his command.
Yeah, I guess he really wasn't his thing. But yeah, it starts following King Viserys. He can't sire a son, so he names his daughter. That's what it is in the show. Sorry, I'm trying to use proper Game of Thrones terms.
Yeah.
He can't sire a son, so he names his daughter the heir to the throne, which stirs up a lot of problems. People don't like that. Nobody wants a woman to be the king, basically.
Stupid woman.
He's got a brother named Daemon who really thought he was
the rightful heir.
Because, like I said, nobody wanted to
make
a woman the queen. But the king's hand, Otto Hightower, didn't really like Daemon, his brother, and they were really just worried that he was pretty brutal. He was known as
the polar opposite of
the king. He wasn't very peaceful. He was quick to war. He was a good fair man, and he just was more of a like chop his hand off type
Yeah.
of thing. And
Straight to
so he named his daughter the heir, and that, like I said, stirred up, and that's really how what starts all this drama of the show. It's basically lines are drawn, and people are just waiting to kind of fuck over the princess in the process.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. But going into that part was pretty interesting. This is Princess Rhaenyra. She's a pretty interesting character. She's a dragon rider herself. Wild child. You know, whoever's going to be the king, there's always some person who doesn't want it or whatever.
It's every single time. It's every single time.
But she's also one of the characters they switch where they do the time jump. But her younger character, she's just a dragon rider. Her father's cupbearer, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she follows the king everywhere she goes. And early on, the father has a kid and it dies. They have a son and it dies during birth.
Yeah.
And then
the mom had a C-section and
he basically said kill her to get the baby out, and it lived for a day. And actually, Damon gets caught making a joke about it, and
king for the day.
Yeah, calling him king for the day, and he banishes his brother. He has to leave.
He went to the steps.
Yeah, he sends him to war, but he says he has to go. He has to leave, so he goes there. And again, that's just basically the underlying issue. This whole Dance of the Dragon, everyone would call it, is that this season is that he didn't have a son, so his wife dies. That doesn't go too well. It was also his first cousin, which is a theme of the Targaryens. As you see, Jon Snow. Yeah, they're all. And
I want to meet his family.
Like I said, we didn't go too much into it. If you watch the show, you know Otto Hightower is the hand of the king, and his daughter, he basically gets her to take care of him, console him, become his friend, and he marries her instead of some of the candidates they set forth for him.
It was mainly Valerian.
Yeah, they set forth a few candidates for him to marry to maybe strengthen the kingdom, but he didn't want to marry. One was a very young girl. He didn't want to marry a girl. Like 12. So he marries Rhaenyra's best friend. That's also a change from the books. Alicent.
Hightower.
Yeah. Well, I was saying Rhaenyra's best friend. In the books, they're not best friends. They know each other. Alicent's a lot older in the books. She's like 30.
Damn.
Yeah. In the books, what happens with Viserys, where she consoles him, she does with actually Viserys's dad or his uncle, whoever was the king before him.
Okay.
She consoles him. Yeah. And they changed a few things. And then she kind of does the same thing with him, but she's just older, so she had done it twice now.
Yeah, okay.
And she marries the king, and then pretty quickly after that they do a time jump after they get married.
Yeah.
And she has a son for him, so then it's really this is where everything really ramps up, and now basically everyone's like, well, his firstborn son's heir to the throne.
Yeah. And
he's not having it. Damon's down in the Stepstones being a badass. Very, very good scene where he goes solo and kills like 100 guys all by himself, then jumps on his dragon and saves the day. It was just pretty cool. It looked great. It was kind of like some Jon Snow stuff where it was like him versus 100 guys. Yeah. You're like, how's he gonna do this? Jon's just doing his thing. So he finally has a son sired for him.
Yeah.
And this is where it begins.
My lord.
It's in the books, they're known as the Greens and the Blacks. Alicent, the queen, her father, few other usurpers, I guess you would call them, want her son Aegon, the firstborn, to be king, and the Blacks, Rhaenyra, Daemon, and a lot of other people were pretty loyal to them, are on the side of Rhaenyra.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty. That's where the time. I don't have any ideas. I just splurted out random shit. Not even gonna lie. But regarding Rhaenyra, the question I have, just in general with the show, or no, with Otto, I would say, would you? Because I was reading online a lot. People were saying he was a bad guy. I wouldn't. Would you? Consider?
I don't know. Like, I guess they kind of tone a few people down from the books of the show, but I guess they're all. I don't know if bad guy's the word. They're all acting in their best interest, and however brutal they may or may have to not to be.
Because it reminded me a lot of Ferris from Game of Thrones. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this for the realm.
Yeah,
And
the
I don't know if
realm.
it was more so because there was like the whole thing was like, oh, he's my grandson, so in a way I can have the throne.
It was a combination of the realm and himself. You know what I mean? He wasn't going to do what was best for the realm, and that didn't coincide with him
Benefit
also
him,
being
yeah.
in power of some sort. But yeah, he was interesting character. Same with Rhaenyra, Daemon, all of them. Like you can relate to all of them. That's why it's a very intriguing story. And in the books, they're even more ruthless. They're all even more. So Rhaenyra more so than in the show, they kind of make her as like this innocent bystander who like makes a few small innocent mistakes,
Yeah.
but she's not a bad person. But in the book, she's more of like calculated. She did all this stuff on purpose.
Yeah. Alicent, you said?
No, Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra, my bad.
Like in the books, she actually like when Daemon's seducing her. In the books, they say Daemon got weirded out because she was actually into it, and he was like, "This is a big mistake."
Yeah.
And he was like trying to do that, but he thought like she was innocent.
Yeah.
And he kind of was like pulled back a little
Yeah.
bit, and so things like that. But in the show, they portray more of this innocent teenager doing innocent things that a 17-year-old girl would do. You would expect her to do, and not really judge her for. And some of the people do actually judge her for. That's what Alicent kind of resents her.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things are going down as well. Like I said, we're not going to go too deep into it, but she has multiple sons that people think are bastards. That we all know. Like it's kind of the theme from
Yeah.
Game of Thrones as well, where they're like, oh, they have black hair. Kind of how Ned Stark found out that the Joffrey and all them weren't Robert's kids.
No.
They were like, oh, they have black hair. They didn't look like Targaryens or Valerians at all.
No, not even close. They just look like some Italian boys out from Brooklyn.
Yes, and it's just the show is just a build up of this tension between both sides, where like nobody, won't say nobody, but a lot of people don't want a woman. Also, Rhaenyra, who now is a woman who's kind of known as a whore,
Yep.
because she doesn't have kids with her
Her
husband, and she's the princess. And like back in those days, being a whore was one thing,
Yeah.
but being the princess, being a whore, and like having these
bastards.
like bastard kids, like, and basically throwing them in everybody's face.
Straight blasphemy.
Yeah, so that's the part where you like kind of on Alicent and Otto's side. We're like, are they the bad guy? We're like, I mean, like Rhaenyra is just being crazy.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, you're seeing both sides. Rhaenyra says she tries to have a kid with the guy. He's gay.
Yeah.
Her husband, Laenor Valerian, he's gay. They try. They can never conceive. And so she had a kid with her personal kingsman, Harold Strong.
Yeah. Heroin, yeah. Sorry.
Or Harwin.
Harwin. Yeah. I can really this show had me confused a lot. I told Sean before we started this episode, what really annoyed me the most with the show is the names. Like it's such a childish thing to say, but I like at least like I was able to learn everyone's name eventually in Game of Thrones because of good balance. But I'm looking at my names.
A lot of them are just so similar. It's like
Yeah.
Aegon, Aemon.
Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra.
Yeah, Rhaenyra. I was that one always gets me where I'm
Yeah.
like Rhaenyra, so we didn't say much about her. She's a Targaryen as
Yes.
well. She's married to the King of Driftmark, Corlys Velaryon, and she has a dragon as well. But yeah, she has a name similar to Rhaenyra.
Yes. But I'll kind of go back to what I liked about the show. That's what we started with. So he said what he liked. So what I liked with the show, like he's similar to him. I really liked Matt Smith. I think every time he was on the screen, he stole the show. And I initially did like the possible story with Sir Christian Cole and Rhaenyra. But then it turned into this weird thing. He was like a little jealous ex, and
Yeah,
that kind of
like
ruined it.
super weird. Yeah, like he went to like this cool dude, and now he's like
Like an honorable
or like
guy.
he beat up Damon early on in the show, and then you're like, oh, he's kind of cool. You know,
Yeah.
Damon, like even though you like Damon, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's this one
And
guy
he's
who like
super
he
honorable.
put
this
his
and that.
smug ass. He put
Yeah.
smug Damon on his ass, and then like he gets Rhaenyra decides like, sorry, bro, I can't be. They have sex.
Yeah.
And she's like, sorry, I can't be with you. I'm the princess. I have a duty.
Yeah.
I've got to marry this guy.
And then he's not honorable at all after that. Like,
and
what
then
the
he's
fuck?
like, you want me to be your whore? And he's just really upset. And then he basically becomes Alicent's Kingsguardman. And then they're both like two bitter
Conspiring,
exes.
Yeah.
And they just hate Rhaenyra. And Rhaenyra's ex-best friend and her ex-lover. And it's like just this really thing where like they just get in the corner
It's
and
like
they're
a
like,
high school thing.
yeah, they're
Look
like,
at that bitch.
yeah,
Look at that bitch
exactly.
over there.
Look at what the bitch is wearing. That's what I imagine them like whispering. They're always like talking to each other, like whispering real close.
She looks fat in that fucking
Yeah, well, because
dress.
her husband's also like a 55-year-old man who's like decaying. Yeah, now at this point, the king's like on his close to on his deathbed.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole time, yeah, that's one thing we didn't talk about too. The whole, I guess, de-evolution of King Viserys. The throne has been killing him because he keeps getting cut by it. That's what it was, right?
Well, I mean, that I don't know if he kept getting cut by. I think that was just a symbol of just how weak he was becoming. That like, I don't know if it was necessarily the throne, and I think he just got sick and he was not. I mean, he lived a really long time. He was like 60 something. So
Yeah.
he just is becoming very ill. It starts off he's
Yeah.
getting older. He basically forced to name Rhaenyra because people are like, "Oh, you're gonna die soon. You don't have a son," so he had to name somebody. But he lived a lot longer than people thought, like 15, 20 more years.
Yeah.
And then basically the show, like I said, is his reign, and then basically everyone, both sides, waiting for him to die so this conflict could jump off because Alicent and her dad don't want Rhaenyra to be the queen of the region because she's a whore who has 3. And it's like not only is she a whore, it's like her kids are bastards, and it's like her son's going to inherit it. So it's like it's a disgrace to the throne.
Yeah.
And
so like
the season basically ends episode 7 or 8 where Viserys dies and everything jumps off.
Yes.
But yeah, Viserys was really good. I thought he played the king great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I didn't write down the actors' names because their character names.
I think his name's Paddy Constantine.
Yeah,
or something like that. Paddy something.
It was Constantine. I remember that because I saw that. That was the only thing I recall. But yeah, what else did I like about the show? I enjoyed it overall. The action scenes were part. I just really struggled with following it. I think it was mostly because of the names, and compare and contrast the first season of Game of Thrones versus the first season of this. The information for me at least, you guys can disagree in the comments or agree. It was easier to process and digest in Game of Thrones initially versus House of the Dragon. Just because I understand there's a lot of information, and I don't even know what information I didn't get. Like I can't even say, oh, if it didn't.
I agree. I think, like I said, they started in the middle of basically one of the books, like in one of the volumes. It's not at the beginning. And Game of Thrones is more at the beginning. Like the Game of Thrones had been like they had taken over. Robert had been king for 20 years now or something like that. It had been like 20 years of peace. Everything was calm, so it was very easy to know. Like they're like. You're basically like everyone's on the king side basically, and you were going by, you know what I mean, episode by episode, you were finding out who was on whose side.
Yeah.
This one, it's like they drop you in the middle of conflict, and they're like, they're just talking like you already know what's happening. So you don't
really
know what's going
on.
And like I said, as of reading the books, I don't know why they didn't start at the beginning. I personally think after the success of this though, they're gonna do a prequel, like do something even before.
Oh my God.
The prequel to this, because this story is very interesting. I like it a lot, but the one before it is just as interesting to me. Like I wouldn't say if I like one. I don't know which one I like better, but they're both very intriguing. So I don't understand why they wouldn't want to do one and not the other. So I think they were worried that they wouldn't, after the bad taste everybody had in their mouth for Game of Thrones
finale.
They were worried that the fan base wouldn't come back strong, so they wanted to pick a part of the book that was really strong. And I do think this is a good part where they're like, we're going to jump right in the middle. This is good. The Dance of Dragons, they had a cool character, Daemon, and I think that's where and it was kind of like Game of Thrones, where it's a lot of like the King of Whispers, and they got a new Littlefinger, the weird foot guy, and it's like
he's weird.
So I think it kind of was more like Game of Thrones, so they wanted to do this part of it.
Okay.
I think go a year or two in though, I think they're going to regret not starting in the beginning, and I think they're going to do a prequel. Yeah.
Okay. That I was about to be my question is, do you think they should have started earlier, this and that? But he just pretty much answered my question.
I definitely do. But I like this, and I think, like I said, it being a book series that was already written, they can do whatever they want. It's not like where they're like, oh, they did a show and like kind of like, I guess you didn't watch the 100, but the 100 did it where they had flashbacks where I was like, damn, they should do a prequel where like this is interesting, and they kind of like box themselves in because they're already just way ahead of that. It'd be weird to do. Now they're doing a book and they just started wherever they want. Yeah, they already did it with Game of Thrones. They already skipped fucking thousands of years of Game of Thrones. So it's like. They just do whatever they want now. So I think that part they're fine.
Okay. So, I mean, I'd want to do season 2 predictions because I have a little more education on that. Because I'm going to keep saying the same things over and over what I disliked. It was a good show, but it's just a lot of information that I just still struggle to process.
How'd you feel about the end then?
The end, I think that really saved it. Like I said, once King Viserys died, I think that's when they stopped. It was around that time. It was like episode 7,
Yeah,
8,
I think they're right.
when they kind of stopped like giving all. It was just pure information. Like it was, I really enjoyed it because then they kicked off the action. Like, all right, no more info. Now you know everything. Shit's hitting the fan. With the whole dragon scene between Aemond and what was the kid's name?
Lucerys.
Lucerys.
The final scene you're talking about, basically.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's what really the finale was phenomenal. I'll give Game of Thrones credit for that.
The dragons in general, all the scenes with the dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, we like I said, we didn't jump too much into it because it's very confusing, a lot of names, and we kind of did an episode before, and it would take me an hour just to explain.
Yeah, we tried
beginning
before.
to end. It's very. But the dragons were awesome. All the scenes with the dragons in them were very good. The final scene where Aemon's dragon, Vhagar, eats Lucerys and his dragon was very good.
That was a big plot twist.
The whole end scene where they meet is just very good. And it kind of, I was telling Tom that was kind of born in the beginning because a lot of this is about these boys. So they kind of had to wait for them to be born and to get them into it. The initial scene where you first see them when they're even younger, they get into a fight with Aemon and Lucerys cuts his eye out.
And that's like a whole
when
thing.
He's beating the shit. In the comic book, not comic book. In the book series, I remembered that it's 3 of their boys.
Who's?
In the show, like the ages vary. So in the show,
3 of whose boys?
The Rhaenyra's when they fight them.
Okay.
The girls aren't there. You know, in the show, it's the 2 twin girls and the 2 boys.
Yes.
Who are married to them or betrothed to them. They're not married yet, but
sired.
And they fight them 2-on-1 in the comic or in the book again. Sorry,
fucking dude.
In the book, it's Joffrey, her 3rd son, who's like a way younger, and the girls aren't there. And Joffrey catches him, and he like kind of smacks him, and he goes and gets his brother, and they come back and fight Aemon, who's older than them. He's like Aemon at the time's like 13, and they're all like 9, 10, 9, and 5. And he beats the shit out of all 3 of them.
God.
And basically, Lucerys has to cut his eye, and that was cool. He reveals that he's got a little sapphire. His character, I'm sure, is going to be a fucking savage.
Yeah, that's what I will say. Thank you for bringing that up. Is the kids really kind of redeemed it for me? Like I'll just reiterate what he said. Pretty much is that it had to revolve around the kids because I thought it was initially going to be about the princess when they were kids, and then they skipped it, and they're like, "No, fuck you." And then I'm like, "What the fuck is it gonna be about that?" And then now it's about the kids again, and I think what it's gonna be, let's compare it to let's say season 3, or maybe we'll see if they do a time jump in season 2.
I think 2 is there's not gonna be any more time jumping. Not anything crazy.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, like a year.
Maybe maybe like some months and almost a year because like it takes a while to travel and things like that.
I was gonna say,
but no crazy time jumps. I think it's gonna be more like one of the final seasons of Game of Thrones. I think the first episode, the first scene, they're gonna be burning something to the ground.
Yeah. I think this next season is gonna be all out war.
Well, I know what happens in the book, so I guess I won't say in particular.
Yeah, calm down.
Which place, but I just think how they ended. I mean, they're kind of doing their own thing anyway, but I do think they're gonna jump right into it. And it's gonna be a fight the whole time.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there'll be I don't think there'll be a lot of meetings. Maybe there'll be like some little BS meetings, like let's have peace or whatever. But then there'll be some.
There's really no more. Yeah, in the books, really no more after there's no peace meeting. So I'll be intrigued. From reading the books again or the audiobooks, I think they only got about 3 seasons worth of source material.
I was about to ask.
Where they are right now. I mean, unless they really drag it, I think they only gotta do like
2 more seasons.
2 more.
Okay.
But they said they're gonna do 4 or 5, so that's why I think that 1 or 2 of them are gonna be prequels. They're gonna be like before, or maybe even after, because there's some time after where it's like. But I think 1 or 2 is going to be 1 or 2 of the seasons they said the 5 is going to be about Aegon.
Okay, well, if they're going to do, you said there's only 3 seasons of Source, but they've stated.
I don't know. That's if I had to guess. Yeah.
We'll go off that, and then, but they announced 4 to 5. Do you think in the let's say 5th season, just to give them enough time, maybe 4th? Do you think we'll see we already got introduced to a Baratheon this season? Do you think at some point down the line, because House of Dragons known for their time jumps, do you think we're going to get introduced to
anybody from the Game of Thrones?
Yeah, like a young Ned
think
Stark.
Maybe like Melisandre or somebody who's like hundreds of years old, or like the guy who's the 3-eyed raven, maybe him.
Okay.
But I don't know. Just in
I think like
because they're
Stark or something
200
like
years before.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, 200 years before Game of Thrones, or 170 or whatever. It's
Some
like 200
shit.
years
It's
before
been a minute.
Daenerys is born.
Yeah.
So 170 years really, from where they are in the show, or 180 or some shit.
Yeah, I don't think we see a Jon Snow or anything like that. I was saying
No, not Jon Snow.
I think the most likely
it would have to be somebody really old. I think like Melisandre, because she was like a witch from Bravos or something. Maybe somebody like that. I'm pretty sure we've seen the Lannisters' dad.
Yeah. Or you mentioned
maybe his grandfather.
No, it was like an uncle or some shit.
They have his name.
Council, right?
Yeah, they're all the Lannisters are named like Tywin and Tyrion and all
fuck
them.
Their names, honestly. Like fuck. I gave so much.
I thought about that for a while. I thought Alicent was Melisandre, because Melisandre always wore those green dresses and she had red hair.
Yeah.
And I just, for some reason, I thought that was gonna be. I thought she was gonna be her, but. That honestly also was one of the things that intrigued me to read the books again, and I read it, and I just don't think it'll be her now. But I do think we're gonna, even if it's not with the books, I think just for fanfare, there's definitely gonna be somebody in there. Well, I think the Starks, in theory, in the books, really aren't a big part of this.
No.
But I think they're gonna make them a big part because we like this. The fans like the Starks.
Because we haven't went to Winterfell yet.
No.
Right now, the other son's
on his way there. But in the books, Daemon's like, we don't even need the guys from Winterfell, because by the time they get their troops and march down south, it'll be a year. This war will be over. They plan on winning it in like a year. In the books, that's what he says. But in the show, they make it seem like they need him.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be a part. I think that'll be something that wasn't in the books, that the Starks will be more a part of it.
They'll make their own idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But they are pretty on par with what's going on in the books, even the characters. I think some of the ages are different. Like I said, one of Rhaenyra's sons is way younger than he is in the books. Rhaenyra is a lot prettier. In the book, they describe her as like husky and stout after she's had all her kids. You know what I mean? In the book, she has, I think, 11 kids.
Damn.
3 or 4 of them are stillborns, but that's because they're fucking their cousins and their sisters and all that. So that's very common that they call them twisted dragons, but that's what they call it when they have a little stillborn that's got like, funny. I'm guessing they also mean with like Down syndrome or anything, they probably just kill them. So she's, in the book, she's more of like a husky, but in this one, I guess even where they are in the show, she's had 1, 2, 3.
Has she had
3 with the strong dude?
How many she had?
And 3 with Daemon.
I thought it was just 2.
No, the last one was with him, and then she had 2 with Daemon. 3 actually. Well, the girl died. She had 3 with it's Jacaerys, Lucerys, and Joffrey.
Joffrey's in the book, or
yes, Joffrey's in the book and the show.
Okay,
he's just in the book. He's older. He's closer to their age.
Okay,
like he's like a couple years younger than them. They're like 11. He's like 9.
I just remember
in the show. He's
bastards.
like just born. He's like 2, and the boys are like 9 and 10.
Okay, maybe that's why I can't remember him.
Yeah, because he's not really in it. But in the book, he is. He's like close to their age.
Okay,
he's like just too young to take one of his dragons.
Same thing
to take his dragon and go with them. But But in the books, when they go to Jacaerys is like 16, and Lucerys is 14, and then in the books, Joffrey's like 12 or 11, and his mom's like, "Nah, you can't go." But in the book or in the show, he's like 5.
Okay.
And then she has Viserys the second, and then she has an Aegon the second as well with Daemon, and then a daughter.
Because they're all young, right? Like they're not involved. It's really. Only that I can recall is just the 2 bastard boys that are involved.
But yeah, right now they have another son who's Joffrey, who's like in the show. I'm guessing would he be like maybe 7 or 8?
Okay.
In the I was gonna say comic game. In the books, he's more like 12 or 11 or 12.
Okay.
But she also has 3 kids with Daemon, 2 boys and a girl, and then she just. At the final episode, she pulls one out of her.
Yeah.
It was disgusting, but she just had. And then. Later in the books, she has more.
Okay, yeah, I was really confused about all the kids because
she has so
many. When we recorded this originally, I was so lost. I was like, I didn't even realize she had these other kids. But then the age is what the big thing was because I could only recall the 2 bastard boys.
Yeah, because they're the only ones really a part of it.
Yeah.
But remember when she goes to visit her dad and he's laying in the bed, she introduces
this is Aegon,
him.
This
is Viserys.
Yeah, Aegon the second, or she didn't call him the second, but Aegon and Viserys the second.
Yeah. Question for you. Let's do. I mean, do you wanna? Yeah, we'll do predictions. You want to do season 2 predictions?
Like I said, I think it's gonna start off like basically Rhaenyra and Daemon attacking some very iconic place and basically burning it to the ground.
The Citadel.
I don't. Well, I know what I'm pretty. I know where it is going to be, and I'm pretty sure they're also going to do it in the show. Well, I'll just say it's Aaron Hall, where there's It's Cursed and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be there. I think they're going to go there, burn it down. That's what they do in the show or in the book. They go there and they take it over as like their base of operation in that part of the region. So I think they're definitely going to do that.
They talked about that at the end.
And so it's not really a super spoiler, or anything like that. I don't want to say too much from the book because a lot of shit goes down. A lot of shit jumps off pretty quickly too. That's what I'm saying. Like I was listening to them over again, and I was just realizing like if they would have kind of not time jumped and slowed this down, they might have been able to do 4 or 5 seasons. But I don't like what's going to have to happen in this first episode is like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's why I think the last season, I think they're going to do a time jump or kind of, like you said, make their own thing in a way where it's going to involve Game of Thrones.
Yeah, where like
just
you
for
see
the fan
just so you see like maybe one generation before them, you see like a young Robert. And
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
maybe
think
something
we're not
like
seeing
that.
Jon Snow or anything like that.
No, not Jon Snow. Definitely not that.
Not that.
I mean,
shit.
I'm interested to see what they do with Jon Snow. I think that'll end with Jon having to come back and be the king.
What I think will happen
dragon, or him
is who's Ned's sister's name? What was her name? Lyanna. Lena.
Yeah, Lena.
Yeah,
Stark.
I think maybe we'll see her. Possibly.
Something like that,
something. Just because she was such a big name in Game of Thrones, like a big presence in Game of Thrones was a later
I'd be
seasons.
really interested if they would have done the prequel to when
Ned's like that.
Yeah, where like Ned and Robert fight the Targaryens to take over Westeros. Like that would have been it. I don't know. Really. The books are really good, so there's a lot of good stuff to turn right into a show. And like I said, it's a lot better than like I hate to say like Lord of the Rings, just because that's just it's not a lot of action. Like where that people want to see backstabbing. Like George R. R. Martin was writing stuff that people that was before his time, like being like conniving and backstabbing. That's really not that does kind of go on in Lord of the Rings, but it's more of like you're the hero and you save the day. Those are the bad guys. We're the good guys. Like, and this is like this story where like everybody's kind of a bad guy at times. Like Damon kills his wife. Like we're talking about how much we love him, but in the show he kills his wife. His other wife kills herself because she has a stillborn son. Then they fake Rhaenyra's husband's Laenor's death, so uncle and niece can marry. It's like, who are the bad guys in this show? It's like, so that's what Tom's talking about earlier. It's like, who are the bad guys? There are no bad guys. It's just like some people. I guess I find myself rooting for Rhaenyra because at the end of the day, her dad did name her the fucking king. Like, you know what I mean? And then, as much as we hate it, I'm Team Red Pill, but that's what the king does. They fuck whoever they want, like, and she's the king. Like, so I get where Alicent's mad, and she's got a son who looks like a king, blah 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 blah. It's like, I don't know, like, you got to pick a side, and at some point, I guess if I had to pick a side in that sense, I pick Rhaenyra. But she is fucked up, and she is doing a lot of dumb shit. Where it's like you can relate with the people who are against her. You're like,
I think the biggest qualm I would have with her situation is she wears it with a badge of honor. Like, she doesn't intend she does it irresponsibly, intentionally. I think that's the best way to say it. Yeah. Like, there's like differences for like, at least with
she knows her dad's gonna ride for her.
Yeah.
That was a big theme in the show too, where like no matter what, Viserys always sided with her, even over her wife, over her brother, over the realm. And I think that's why people like Viserys so much. I think as a father myself, I definitely understand that. I mean, I would find it hard pressed to not always ride for my daughter as well. So that part is a part where like people, where people just like were disgusted by his daughter, and he like was not hearing it. Like Tom was saying, there's a scene where one of the Valyrian guys basically calls his.
I'll find it.
I know what it is. It's Vaemon.
Damn it! I just fuck you.
Corlys's brother,
younger brother. Of
he
Corlys.
calls to question her child's legitimacy, and in front of Daemon and the king, he calls her a whore and her children bastard. And Daemon, in the iconic scene of the show, chops his head off. It was really awesome. That scene was really good. I'm guessing we'll be seeing it when the Graham or the Emmys, whatever. What is it? The Emmys?
Yeah, Emmys.
When the Emmys roll around, they're gonna win some
Great.
awards for that.
So two things. I'll do my predictions first, and I'll ask the audience questions and you this question as well. Predictions. I really do think we're gonna see Otto go. If they have 4 or 5 seasons, and I think Otto's gonna go later in the series. One of the Targaryen kids are gonna die. Allison kids, to clarify.
Oh.
I think they're gonna.
That's 1,000% about to happen.
Yeah.
Like it's I know that's definitely gonna happen. It's in the. I don't think they're gonna. I don't even want to say like.
And shut up.
The
Sean.
way they did it, the book is fucked up. It's very fucked up. So.
Yeah, it's
but I guarantee they're gonna do it in some form and fashion. I don't know if they'll 100% do it the way they did in the book. But yes, one of not Allison's kids. One of Aegon. Aegon's got kids right now.
Oh, okay. In the book.
The king. Yeah, so I don't know. You're right.
That's what I'm saying.
He does have kids, but they're really young.
Yeah, but
so it might be different. It might be one of Allison's kids because she's got a few.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's weird. So I guess I can say because it is a little different in the books. Daemon hires 2 people to go and kill. Aegon's got older sons. Aegon's a little older in the thing.
Is Aegon the one with the iPad?
No, Aegon's the one, the drunk one, who's the king.
Yeah.
He's got older. He's married to his sister, Helena, and they've got.
Fuck's sake. This fucking show.
They've got 3 or 4 kids, but they're like 19 or some shit, 19 or 20. They're very young. So after Lucerys gets killed, Daemon sends some people he knows and a spy basically.
Yeah.
They sneak in, in front of Alicent and Helena. They capture them, tie them up, and they tell Helena she's got to choose which one of her kids they kill, son for son. And she's got 3, and she chooses the youngest one, and she says why, and he's like, that's not good. She's like, I'll choose the youngest one because he won't remember why.
Yeah.
Or he won't understand why.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's not good enough, and they take her oldest son and kill him in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And then leave. They chop his head off and try and leave. They get caught trying to escape with the head.
Well, I think they'll do something similar to that.
I just think I don't know whose kids it's going to be. It might be, like you said, one of Allison's kids.
That's what I'm saying.
They changed some of the things around where it might be, because Allison's got like 5 kids. It might be like one of her daughters or something.
Yeah, I think
it'll be something like that. Because I think Aegon's kids are just like babies. Like very small babies.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a baby they killed. I mean, they've killed babies in Game of Thrones before, so I don't know. But I do think the first episode back, one of those kids are getting killed, and
in the first episode, you think?
Yes, I think it'll be the first. I think the first episode is going to be one of those kids getting killed, and them burning Harrenhal. I think the beginning of the episode of them be burning Harrenhal down, and I think it will end with maybe the kid doesn't die, but it'll end with them all getting like in the room and them saying like you have to pick a kid or something. Like I think it'll be like maybe, and then like the beginning of maybe it'll be episode 2 it happens, but I think it'll be right away.
Okay.
Like I said, a lot of stuff happens like boom, boom, boom. I don't think they're going to have enough time to do 5 seasons, even like now that they've done the time jumps. I think, like I said, there are no more major time jumps. This is all over within the next couple years in House of Dragon time. So that's only a couple seasons to me.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Well, there's a lot of shit that's going to happen this season. Well, yeah, I think my biggest prediction is clear, it's an easy one. I think one more, or I think 2 kids of Allison's will die. One, by the way, he said, and then the other, maybe an accident or suicide, some shit. They always just kill off people for the fuck of it. And then maybe Rhaenyra and Daemon, one of their kids die in battle. Depends the age or something like that. Maybe it was the younger one that, right?
Yeah, her.
So yeah, the older one.
Well, no, her middle bastard.
Well, not the
younger of the 2 who went.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the oldest will possibly die in battle. Maybe by one of Allison's people. So clearly, if it's fucking battle, but I really don't have a lot of predictions because, like I said, I kind of enjoyed the show, but it was just info overload. So it kind of took my enjoyment away because I also had to pay extra attention to come with details, and clearly that didn't fucking work.
It was tough for me. It is a lot when you like you said, it's overload. In my head, before we did that initial thing, I was like, oh, I could easily do this. And then I was saying, it's like, it's so much information.
It is.
Like, and in my head, when I'm not having to regurgitate it out, it's like, it's a little different than trying to talk about it. But I thought it was very good. I'd say if I had to rate it. Oh, no, didn't you have a question? One more question?
That was my question, the prediction.
Oh, okay.
I think. I can't remember my question.
I don't know. Well,
anyways,
like I said, that's my prediction for the first episode. I don't know. I would have to see the pacing, how they're gonna do to make any more predictions.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just don't think I really think they're gonna do at least one season based on Aegon like before this, because I think they did misstep not starting there because I feel like they could have just time jumped. They could have did that for like 2 seasons, then kind of do like, okay, season 3 is 100 years later when we're doing this part, and then we'll do that one. Like, I felt like that was cool because it's kind of written like that too. It's like in volumes.
Yeah.
So I thought like I said, maybe they were just worried.
Right.
But I really liked it. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
I thought it was great writing, great acting. For somebody who read the books. I thought it was a very good reimagining. I can be biased enough to know that they can't put everything in it. They're going to take some things out. What I hope is, like, when you do changes, do I hate them? And I don't really hate any of the changes in House of Dragon. It's kind of annoying, like, where Alicent and Rhaenyra are kind of the same age and they were best friends. But I guess it kind of makes the rivalry even fresher, or like even more intense because like they used to be friends. And they had like a weird like lesbian vibe where like they were
Let's be honest,
where like she like was in love with, I don't know, like gay vibes where like they were in love with each other.
Book?
No, in the show.
Oh,
or like they were in love. I don't know. I got that. And I say the actors say that they were trying to portray that too as well. But that's really the only thing I would say I didn't like. But besides that, I thought the writing was excellent. Matt Smith, I thought was amazing. Patty as King Viserys was great. Even all the characters I don't like, that's a good show. All the characters I don't like, I thought they did a good job acting. They did a great job of making me not like them. Yeah. So, and I'm very intrigued. All the children who play in it, I thought they did a really good job where they're very fucking like convincing as these young, you know what I mean, kids and the heirs in the middle of all this bullshit. But like I said, I'd give it a 9.5. If you like Game of Thrones, you're definitely going to like this. Like I said, it is a lot to take in. But like I said, some people like that. I like a lot of that's why I like shows like this, because it's more than just a show. It's like a universe where like you're getting a lot of information. You can come to your own conclusions. You can make up, you know what I mean? You can think of your own, you know what I mean, what's going to happen and things like that. What you would have done. Yeah,
I would rate this. I was going to say 7, 8, but then listening to Sean, I'll say 8. I think 9.5 is too high for the first season. Like I keep saying throughout this episode, is information overload. I think their balance was a little off, but again, like Sean mentioned, they just hopped right in the middle of the book series, right?
Yeah. Well, this one.
Or of the book.
It was. Yeah. This is one book. I guess it's a really long book. Okay. But it's a volume.
But it was in the middle of the book. So I understand why they had to do it. But obviously, the first 6 episodes, there was some great moments, but that was fucking Wikipedia. And then the later episodes 7, 8, 9, or 8, 9, 10. But once Viserys hit the shit, he died. It became more entertaining. It gave me more of that Game of Thrones vibe again. You can disagree with me or agree with me in the comments. You got any other final points or no?
Not at all. I would definitely recommend watching it though.
Yeah, I'll try to rewatch it to get a refresher, because maybe I was also overanalyzing too, trying to make notes.
He just got done binge watching Game of Thrones too, so he was like I said, he was in a bitter place.
Yeah, it was good. I'm not even going to Game of Thrones. You'll see our episode about that. Other than that, make sure to comment down below what you liked and disliked about this episode and House of the Dragon in general, and what we should talk about next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, friendsfromwork_podcast. We'll get that changed soon. I promise. I don't even want to fucking say it all the time. It's the worst, but I do it for you guys. Other than that, I'm Tom. This is Sean. We'll see you all next week. Peace out.